Initially just a demo for the Sunday Night Football theme song, but now that's morphed into background vocals. So when you're hearing Waiting All Week for a Sunday Night, my voice is in the background on that, along with Carrie Underwood on your TV.
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
A few years of that now,
so
too.
with all those demos that you were cutting vocals on for Carrie, did any of those get cut?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Something in the Water.
No way.
Demo. Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk about how you got to be playing with Keith Urban. But before we get there, let's go all the way back to 2010 when we first met.
Yeah.
And you were not even living in Los Angeles yet, as we were talking about off camera.
Yeah.
What brought you to LA and sparked this whole musical journey that you've been on?
Yeah, well, even before I moved to LA, I was already on the musical journey. I was 20 years old at the time when I met you, and then when I subsequently moved to LA. But I'd already been playing music for probably about 6 years. Some people, you ask them, when did you start singing? And, since before I could talk. And it's not the case with me. I was in middle school when I started playing music, and it just kind of happened on a fluke. Hey, do you want to do a solo at the Christmas show? Yeah, sure. But I'd never taken a singing lesson, not a music, nothing. I had no, other than the piano lessons that as many kids were forced to take, and my mom had to strap me to the piano bench to practice. I wanted nothing to do with that. But I just kind of said yes to this solo in the Christmas show, and turns out I could really carry a tune. And everyone was kind of blown away. And I remember my mom asking me, like, did you like that? Did you have fun doing that? And I said, yeah, I did. I mean, everyone liked it, and I liked the song. I thought I sounded good. So she said, do you want to try to maybe take some singing lessons just to see what you think? And after I did that, then I wanted to, maybe let's try to do a county fair. So it really just was a natural start. And I did a little CD recording, and we'd send it out to the Belmont County Fair, Monroe County Fair, and got some bookings. And it went from there. I enjoyed it. I learned to play guitar. And as I went into high school, started taking things more seriously, and then college. In college, I chose to pursue a career in nursing simply because, my parents are both in healthcare, but then I could get a job and move away and pay my own way in a city where I could pursue music.
For sure.
Yeah.
And are you still moonlighting as a nurse?
Moonlighting on occasion, still doing it.
Still doing it.
It's tough to give up the thing I worked so hard for, but I want to be there the least amount as possible.
Yeah.
I love my coworkers. I love that they're all so supportive, and everyone since the get-go, they've known what the real plan has been. And I've been lucky that everyone's been very supportive. And when I need the time off, I can have it. So it's great.
I'm glad you went to LA, because obviously that's how we met.
Yeah.
But in reality, here in Nashville is where you were supposed to be.
It is. Yeah.
So
LA was a detour.
Yeah. A little detour
detour
happened. What caused the detour?
Oh, young love caused a detour.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when I had never seen LA why would I move there? That was not something. I did country music. I was going to finish my nursing degree and move to Nashville. And then I fell in love. And, as now an adult reflecting back, I feel like a completely different person now, but reflecting back on those times, I now can see that maybe I was a little impulsive, but I follow my heart. It's what I do. It is definitely what I still do. But I moved to LA, and I was there for 3 weeks, and then I had no boyfriend. I was dumped through a Facebook message, if that's the sign of the times. Texting wasn't quite as popular.
Yeah.
We didn't have this unlimited data plan back then. So I logged onto my computer, and I saw that I had a breakup message, and that was really sad. I cried. I was super heartbroken, and I immediately considered, like, this was a mistake. Why am I here? I got to get out of here. Except I was in a 6-month lease, so I needed to stick it out. And knowing you and your now wife, you guys were some of my only friends there. So I felt super lucky that I had a few people to lean on. I had a job at a hospital, so I could pay my rent. And I just thought, I'm going to do what I've been doing the whole time, hustling. How can I get a gig at a restaurant or at a bar or at just like a small place to play a show around town. I know how to do this. What is stopping me from continuing to do this?
Oh my God, it's all flooding back.
Yeah.
There were some Hermosa Beach gigs.
Hermosa Beach gigs.
Yes.
I was playing at Genghis Cohen, that Chinese restaurant on Fairfax.
Great restaurant.
Molly
The green
Malone's.
beans are, I don't know if Genghis Cohen is still there.
I would love to
Green
go
beans are
back and
fire.
have dinner. And you know what's funny? We talked about Keith Urban. One of the other new bandmates knows the guy that was booking me for those shows. We were chatting a couple weeks ago, and he said the name. I was like, that's the name. That's him. And I scrolled back. You know, I have emails from 10 years ago filed away in different folders, 10, 15 years ago. And there they were. Emails from Jay, whatever his name was, that's doing the booking.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how the roads intertwine and intertangle.
So you're in LA, you're doing that, and then somehow you get involved in Whiskey Jam, right? And you're telling me that you were coming out here to Nashville to perform Whiskey Jam. Is that right?
So I was in LA for about 2 years in total. But even during that time, I had met a girlfriend who also wanted to move to Nashville. And I said, well, that's what I'm going to do. Like, once I get my stuff together and I know, like, it's the right time, I'm going to move to Nashville. That was always the plan. So I'm still going to execute that plan. So she moved a little before me, and I came to Nashville to visit her. And I had already met, oh gosh, I can't even remember how, through the grapevine, I met a guy named Jeff Harper. And he was playing, I think, keys and guitar, maybe. I don't want to mess up his instrument, so it doesn't matter. But for Scotty McCreery. And they played at the Grove in LA. And I like went over and saw that show. And Jeff was like, if you ever come to Nashville, look me up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to come to Nashville. He's like, you're a great singer. Every Monday we do this thing called Whiskey Jam at just like a small bar in Nashville. And it's like, you just never know who's going to show up and hop up on stage. Like Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert were there recently. Lady Antebellum came up and sang recently. And this is like in 2010, the year it started. And I said, yeah, well, I want to do that. I want to come and I want to play. So later that year, I went and visited my friend Leslie. She had just come to Nashville and was still like staying with a friend while she was figuring out an apartment situation. And the friend let me come and stay there too. And I played Whiskey Jam. And that was in early 2011, I guess, maybe late 20. I don't remember the timing, but Whiskey Jam was still a very new concept. And I went to Winners, and there was a crowd there. It wasn't, I mean, look what it's turned into.
Yeah. It's a staple in
Yeah,
town.
I mean, Winners was maybe 3/4 full. There was no outside deck. It was just the inside of Winners. And I was like, man, there's like 100 people here. This is sweet. And like, Fireball sponsors it, I guess. Like, I got some shots of Fireball. I'm like, this stuff is delicious.
Yeah.
It was so fun. And we didn't really rehearse. I had it played like maybe 3 songs of my own. And Jeff, he was playing guitar, and it was a 3-piece Whiskey Jam band. And I like told them what songs I wanted to do in advance, and they learned it. And I just came with my guitar, and we hopped up there and did it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward, and then you performed at the Ryman Auditorium for the Whiskey Jam's 10th anniversary?
10th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I felt so lucky and blessed to have even been considered as a name to be invited to do that. I mean, there were just a handful of people there, and I felt like the luckiest person. That how am I? And I mean, Randy Travis was there. This was like Lauren Elena, Chris Young, Ryan Hurd, Frankie Ballard. These were the people that were like the staples of Whiskey Jam from the beginning. And I couldn't believe that I was in that hat with those names. But
yeah. What was it like
guess I was.
What was it like to perform there at the Ryman? I mean, there's so much
I was emotional.
history. Yeah.
I was emotional. I'm not a nervous person on stage. I sang the anthem at the Preds game, 17,000 a cappella, no problem. I'm excited to do it and cool as a cucumber every time doing these shows with Keith. Who knows how many people are out there? I'm excited and calm. It's like I'm in my living room. I don't know, but at the Ryman, I don't even know if nerves is the word, because it was just emotion. Maybe
it was all the ghosts of country past.
I was haunted. Maybe, I don't know. It was just the weight of that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that I'll be back there again someday, but if I'm not, it doesn't matter because I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I had like just the coolest outfit. And
Everybody
I remember
was talking about your outfit.
I remember being, I opened the show and I closed the show. And I remember Ward giving a little speech to the audience as things were getting going and basically said, he came to Nashville with a dream and a guitar and he thought he was going to play music. But it turned out that his calling and what he was meant to do was not to have the light shine on himself, but to shine the light on others and get their names known and heard in country music. And that's exactly what he has done. So he chose This Little Light of Mine as the song to open and close the show with after kind of giving that information about shining the light on others. And I can remember giving him a hug and he was like, all right, I can't believe it's time. And I said to him, it's time for me to go out there. I walk out there. He's like, yeah, right now, go. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I just felt overcome with emotion. It was truly incredible. And I came home that night. It was like 2 a.m. And I wrote a journal entry about what it was like to sing at the Ryman. And I think that's just something that I could tear up a little bit right now, just thinking about how incredibly special it was. And I know other artists surely have to feel the same way. I'm an emotional person when it comes to like deep feelings for myself, and I can compartmentalize other things, but like I wasn't nervous at the Ryman, but I had to try consciously to not cry. And I listened back to that video and my voice does sound shaky to me because I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I've never experienced that before.
I do think it's the ghosts of country past. They were there.
They probably
you've
are.
Never experienced that feeling before.
I mean, if they were going to hang around anywhere for any amount of time, it would probably be there.
Yeah.
At least I would.
Well, okay, let's hit rewind and let's backtrack. You come to Nashville and then you start doing like singing demos.
Yeah.
Right? Singing on demos. Let's talk about that because I feel like my perception of that is like, okay, you're a songwriter or whatever the case is, you want to cut a demo because you want to shop it around to recording artists to cut it. And one of the things they like to do is find somebody who has a voice that's similar to the artist that they would like to cut that song, right?
Yeah.
So the artist can envision themselves on that track. How did that first come about for you and what was your approach and what was it like?
Yeah. I started doing some demos already, even when I lived in California. I don't necessarily remember exactly how the first demo ever came about because I definitely did not do that before LA, which I mean, maybe this is also just a sign that I'm getting old because I'm like, I can't really remember. I can't remember the first demo that I ever did, though I could probably find that in my emails too. I like to have, if someone's willing, I like to have them send me a copy of the demo. And I feel like that's a little memory lane. I keep them all in one folder in my email and I can scroll back and hear some awesome stuff that I've worked on over the years. But when I moved to Nashville, I specifically would request off months in advance every Monday. I was working night shift and I just could not fathom not being at a whiskey jam. Just networking events. I know that it is on a much larger scale these days, but those small intimate writers rounds, those things still exist. And I would not miss any week. Anyone I could go talk to, just chit chat, hang around. Even if I could just see someone I knew, go talk to them. Maybe they're talking to someone else. And that's exactly what I did in LA too, but I was committed to that here in Nashville.
And it's also different in LA because in LA, everybody's kind of like, how can you help me?
Exactly.
But in Nashville, the community is more like, how can we help each other?
Yeah, I do feel like I found that in LA with Coffee House, but I realized that was an outlier. That was kind of the only thing that I found, and I'm still great friends with those people today. They really, there was nothing in it for themselves. They were just music fans who wanted to help anyone. Like,
oh my God, all the memories are flooding back as we talk because you did a Coffee House thing down like by San Diego somewhere.
Yeah, at that big hotel there.
Yeah, I forget what it was called.
Grand Hyatt Aviara.
Then I'm like, this will be the perfect time to propose to my wife because we go down there, right? We went down there.
I almost forgot.
And then the next morning.
Swami's Beach.
Yes, I was like, okay, I'll propose to her on the beach.
And we were hiding out having acai bowls in the bushes. Post this shit now.
And she found the ring in advance, so she knew I was going to propose, and she acted like it was a surprise.
Yeah.
I didn't find that out till like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, sorry to sidetrack you, but as you're talking, like all these memories are coming back.
That was a coffee house thing. And I did feel that community there with them, and I felt safe in Nashville. That made me feel safe in LA because I knew that I just had a solid crew of people that wanted to help me and were looking out for me and could recommend me. And I felt that way with you and Chanel as well. Like that was my core crew of people. I mean, look at who are the folks that I invited when it came down to like, we'll get to the winner is, but it was you guys. It was Chris and Kaylee. There were like 6 people, and I still keep in contact closely with all of those people. So, and same for Nashville. I just felt like when I got here that I knew, okay, I'm plugged into something that is important and that is going to go places, and I can go places with it. So that was from day one of when I got here. And I refused to work a Monday night because I had to be at Whiskey Jam. Most people want the weekends off, which I wanted those off too, of course. But Mondays were more important. They were most important. Yeah. And I did not miss. I wasn't singing every week. I would do, every month or two or what, I don't know. I did a lot back then. Less now because it's the new folks now. It's the new generation. It's weird to think that I'm like not the new generation. Dang, that hurts. But I would just go to talk to people, whoever I could meet up with, and through those, I would say, I guess to loop back to the original question about demos. Hey, if you need me to sing on anything, I did some demos in LA. I would meet songwriters there, of course. And eventually I got some calls. And then that turned into, from Whiskey Jam, doing other writers' rounds. And a girl I knew who is plugged into the music industry, but she's just a nurse too. But she has a lot of friends. She lived here a couple years longer than I had, plugged into the industry. She was out with a girlfriend of hers who was dating a really big songwriter. I was doing a writer's round at the listening room some weekend. And she was like, hey, I'm going out with Chris and Lauren tonight. And I asked them if they wanted to swing by the listening room to hear you play. And Chris is Chris DiStefano, who is a huge songwriter here in Nashville. And this was in like 2013 maybe. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, please bring him. She's like, yeah, we're coming. We're going to swing by. She's like, I really think that he needs to hear you sing. And sure enough, I was playing, and I look over at the bar. This is when the listening room was still on 2nd Avenue, not far from this location it's at now. But I looked over at the bar, and there's my friend Jerusha and Chris DiStefano and his then girlfriend, Lauren. And I'm like, oh, my God, like maybe he'll want to write with me after this. Like, that would be amazing. But the call I actually got was, hey, I have a few songs that I'm going to pitch to Carrie Underwood. Can you come and do the demo vocals for him? And I was like, oh my God, how is this happening to me? So of course I said yes. And a long story short, I'm still doing Carrie Underwood demos with Chris DiStefano, and many other songwriters in town have kind of become the person that, if someone's doing a song and they want to pitch to Carrie, it kind of depends on the year, if it's an album year or not. Things wax and wane for sure. But I've also gotten to do initially just a demo for the Sunday Night Football theme song, but now that's morphed into background vocals. So when you're hearing Waiting All Week for a Sunday Night, my voice is in the background on that, along with Carrie Underwood on your TV.
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
A few years of that now,
too.
So
with all those demos that you were cutting vocals on for Carrie, did any of those get cut?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Something in the Water.
No way.
Demo. Yeah. Now, I told you that I request like a copy of a lot of my demos.
Yeah.
Just to have and reminisce on. I don't have any of those.
So we can't fact check you.
No. I don't have any of those.
We'll just take your word for it, I guess.
They're very, I mean, as they should be, they keep things close to the vest
for sure.
in her camp. And I'm all right with that. I feel so blessed that I've been able to work with them over the years, and that initial relationship between myself and Chris and working on those demos snowballed into me working with so many other incredible songwriters, like the songwriters, Luke Laird, Ashley Gorley. I mean, anyone who's writing songs with Carrie, they were calling me for demos. And I remember asking, I was at Zach Crowell's house doing Carrie demos. And I was like, hey, I mean, this is kind of a weird question, but like, how'd you get my name? And they're like, oh, Carrie's manager sent it over to us and said that this is who we should call for Carrie demos. I was like, oh my God, wow. I didn't know that was happening, but thank you for calling me. And then I was like, can you send me her email? I would love to tell her thank you for giving people my name. So then I kind of developed a relationship with her. I've been able to go see Carrie play live. It's been very special to hear her sing, even though I didn't write these songs, but it's just so cool. You were
part of the process.
I was a part of the process.
Yeah.
And,
that's wild.
You know, you're not going to see my name on the back of the album, but I feel pride in the fact that I did get to take part in the process.
For sure. Because you sang it in a way that it captivated her enough to go, I do want to cut this song.
Yeah.
So when you go into the sessions to record vocals on these songs, are you approaching it of like, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to sing it the way I sing? Or do you have it in the back of your mind, like, I'm going to sing it how I hope Carrie wants to hear it?
Maybe a little both, because, I mean, when I was a teenager learning that I loved country music, Carrie had just won Idol. I love her. I loved her, especially then, because I was discovering who I was as a person, as a girl, and as a singer. And I was like, whatever she's doing, that's what I want to be doing. I love everything about this. I want to sing all of her songs. That's what I want to play if I go to do a county fair show. So do I sound like Carrie because I have a good voice, or do I sound like Carrie because like that's when I found my voice, that's who I was listening to? I don't know the answer to that. But I do think that stylistically we have a lot of the same things going on. And I've done at this point so many demos, and I know her tendencies. I love her music. I listen to it. Anything new she puts out, I can't wait to learn it and listen to it and hear it a lot. But I think I can predict what she might do. So maybe it's a little of both. Stylistically, myself, I'm doing a lot of those same things anyway, and I have a similar vocal style, but I know her past work, and I think I can kind of just like predict what might go well there. And also, in addition to that, the person who wrote the song, whoever that may be that I'm in the studio with, they've got this is their brainchild. They've got strong opinions on what they want, and I get a lot of like, hey, do you have a home rig? But yeah, sure, I can get a home rig or have one. That's all well and great. But there's a lot to be said for going to the studio. As far as I'm concerned, I like to be there in the presence of the person that created the song, because they know what they want.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can do that.
Especially if they wrote it for like Carrie Underwood. They kind of know what they're envisioning in their mind vocally.
Yeah. And how like they already have like some inklings. And oftentimes like I'm going off a work tape, like from someone's iPhone, or maybe they imported that into Pro Tools and it was a guy singing it, so they just pitched it up to the key that we're going to do it in, but it sounds kind of weird. So I just use that to learn the melody, and then from there I go off of whatever they tell me or whatever I'm kind of thinking up.
Crazy. I've known you for 15 years, and you just said a couple things that I didn't know.
That's crazy.
You've done, which is awesome. Where do you want to go? Where, like in your journey, where did it go next? Was that to being a featured artist on Jimmy Allen's album?
Yeah, and that started as a demo too. Really? I did the demo for that song. Will Weatherly, he's a songwriter. He writes for Tape Room, which is a division of Warner. He called me and said, hey, we're finishing up the song right now. It's me, Ashley Gorley, Jimmy Allen. We're like literally, we're all here writing right now. And his studio is just a couple miles from my house. So he's like, we're going to be done probably in like an hour. Can you come over and sing this demo? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm off today. So whatever you need, like give me a buzz and I can head over. So I did. He texted me, okay, we're done. You can head this way. I went to the studio. They had kind of been working on a track while they were writing. And I sang the demo. Jimmy had done his verse. I did second. It was just written to be a true duet. I sang the demo, and that was, I don't know, I'd have to look back to see when exactly that happened. But then we ended up cutting this song in April of 2021. Jimmy decided from the demo, that must have been sometime in 2019 or 2020. But Jimmy was like, this is the girl who needs to sing it. She's great. this is your song. It's going to be you. So we cut. I knew that then I was going to be on the album, but I don't really put my eggs in any basket until like the day is here. And even after we cut the song, we'll see if it makes the album. Sure. Okay. I know, and I don't want to get my hopes up over anything. But April of 2021, we went to the studio and cut the master vocals. And then June 2022, the album came out.
Like 2 months later?
A year and 2 months.
Oh, a year and 2 months. Okay,
yeah. Wow. A whole year later. So album came out in 22. Yeah, and I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that song.
I mean, there's probably stuff that I don't know because I'm learning things, but most recently you're singing on Ryan Hurd's new album, Midwest Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Oh
was
my
that a Whiskey Jam connection from back in the day with Ryan Hurd, or how did you get on that project?
So I had done, I think it was some Carrie demos with Aaron Hessice. He is Ryan's friend, longtime friend, and he produces his albums. However, I met Aaron along the ways. He called me and said, hey, can you, initially the first time I did this is the second album I've worked on with Ryan. First one being back in 2021. That was when he was recording Pelago, and I did several tunes on that album. And then Aaron called me back for more background vocals on Midwest Rock and Roll. This is a super special album. I know Ryan was really just going for that nostalgic, like just driving around in your car in high school in the Midwest, like breakups, love, fun, rock and roll. I listen to these songs. I'm like, yes, this was my vibe in the mid 2000s when I did not know what was going on with my life.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved singing on these songs, and I got invited to the album release party. I felt very special. I've worked on a lot of albums over the years, and usually I don't get invited to the release party. So I was very excited to be invited. And Ryan took me around and was like, hey, this is Katie. She sings on all my records. I was like, oh my God, that is so cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have been. So it's really cool. Pelago is awesome. Midwest Rock and Roll is so awesome. I love Ryan. I love his crew. They're all great people.
I feel like singing is so natural for you, but do you go into the studio when you're going to sing backgrounds on an album with anything in mind of like how to prepare for those sessions, or do you just go in and sing?
Typically, I just go in and sing.
I knew you were going to say that.
9 times out of 10, I don't know what I'm singing until I get there.
Oh.
Yeah, for all these demos, for the most part, occasionally someone will send me a little work tape through a text beforehand and say, okay, this is what we're working on. But on the Carrie stuff, I never get that in advance. I show up and I listen to the song there. We'll listen to it a couple times through. I get a little printout, or maybe they'll send me the lyrics to my phone and I'll make some notes. And then we just go in and get to work.
Wow.
I learned it on the fly. With Ryan's songs, I think I got one of them like the evening before. So I did listen to that a good bit. That was Lighthouse. So I had some time in the car where I'd been driving around the day before. So I had a couple hours of listening time with that one. And I tried to think up some different parts. And to be honest, we made up new ones when I got there.
Yeah.
But generally, I go in with no preconceived notions because I don't know. I don't know what I'm working on.
So back in school, were you good at like cramming before a test?
I'm still really great at
Because that's kind of what you're doing.
I am a A+ level procrastinator for all the things.
Hell yeah.
Projects at the house. Like if I need to, I mean, even this morning, why was I sitting around on the couch until I'm like, oh, I got to leave in 5 minutes and I haven't started getting ready.
Yeah.
It's just who I am at my core. I wish it wasn't the case. And sometimes, you know, the algorithm knows what you need if you're scrolling on Instagram. And this thing came across that was like, are you a procrastinator? I'll get more ads now after this because it's hearing us talk about it. I'm like, wow, I am. That's crazy. It's like, download this app to help train your brain not to procrastinate.
Yeah, I
never did that.
I think procrastination makes you work a little bit harder because you're like, whoops, and now I have to like work twice as hard.
Oh, I'm
a
very hard worker, that's for sure. So I don't have a problem putting my nose to the grindstone whenever I need to.
Okay, so speaking of cramming before a test, let's talk about the long road to Buc-ee's.
Yes.
Buc-ee's is where you first played with Keith Urban.
That is, yeah.
So let's talk about how that happened, how you got the gig, how you studied for the test before getting to the stage.
Yeah.
Run me through it.
So Jerry Flowers is another songwriter that I've worked with over the years. he actually, linking to Ryan Hurd, he wrote the song that the Marin and Ryan duet that was on Pelago. Jerry Flowers did. He and I think Brinley Addington and maybe one other person. But I had been working with Jerry for several times over the years. I can't say I consistently worked with him, but multiple demo tracks over the years, probably going back at this point, 8 or 9 years was the first time, 8 or 9 years ago. So when I first worked with Jerry, last summer we looked it up. We're like, when was that song? And it was like 8 years ago from last summer. And we'd always kept in touch. Like, he's like, you're the best. Like, you're so awesome. You deserve everything. You should be the one out there in the front of the stage. And I was like, yeah, but I mean, even I would ideally love to just be in a band that's like, I don't want to say low stress or low pressure, but because obviously you're still working really hard, but you don't deal with the politics of being the front person. You can just go out there and do what you do and kind of be along for the ride, still work hard to support that person that's out there in front. I'm at a point in my career where I am not necessarily looking for the stresses and the politics of being the front person artist. To me, being famous in today's day and age, it means and involves a lot more than it used to, than it's just like having fun and playing music. Mm-hmm. So for me, I told Jerry, like, I would love to just be in a band. Like, if y'all ever need a fill-in, I know you've got a good crew right now, but if anything ever happens, or if Keith ever wants to add a female vocalist or another female to the band, call me. He's like, wow, I didn't know that that's something you would be into or want to do. I was like, 100%, absolutely, I would love that. He was like, okay, well, I'll keep you in mind. That was last May. I literally remember where I was when I was sending him that text and having this conversation with him. And early August, he sent me a text and said, hey, are you around this evening? Can you give me a call? I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I'll call you. Like, I'll be home at, whatever time. So I gave him a buzz and he said, we are going to be doing a pop-up show at Buc-ee's. I don't know if you know what that is. I was like, yeah, I know what Buc-ee's is. I haven't been to one yet, but I do know what it is. Like, people rave about that. He said, I don't know if you know this about Keith, but the guy loves to play music. He loves to do pop-up shows. We went out to the airport and played in the lobby for some folks, just to, not necessarily to promote for his fans. He just loves to play music and wants his fans to have fun and people to have a good time and have a treat. So he's like, we went up to Chicago and did one last week, and now we're going to do this Buc-ee's show on August 16th. Are you free? And August 16th is my birthday. So as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, no, I'm free. I'm definitely free. Like, I had some birthday plans. I'm like, canceled. Party's canceled, folks. I'm busy. So I was like, yes, I'm free. And that's my birthday. This is like the best birthday present ever. He's like, okay, well, I don't have any more details at this point, but I know it's just going to be a pop-up show at Buc-ee's. I think it's the one that's a little south of Nashville, somewhere in Alabama. But like, I'll be in touch and yeah, you're up. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, great. Awesome. So we just kind of left it at that and communicated as the week went on. I was leaving like the next day to go out of town. I was going to Canada to visit some friends from college. I'm not from Canada, but I met some people while I was in college that were from Canada, and we've stayed really good friends over the years. And every summer I go out for a week to visit them. They're just north of Detroit, so not too far away into Canada. It's a short commute to get there, but sometimes it's planes, trains, and automobiles. So I was like, I am locked in. I'm going on this trip, but I'm just going to have to sneak away during the week and like go to my bedroom or whatever and practice. And they were, of course, over the moon and super excited for me. But then the next question is, what are you singing? I don't know. I don't think there's a set list. So I was in contact with Jerry. He's like, yeah, just kind of brush up on the hits. Like, Keith doesn't really do set lists for these shows. He just is like playing off the cuff, like whatever is the vibe that we're feeling. So it's like, let's learn the whole catalog kind of situation. Yeah. And I mean, lucky for me, I love Keith Urban. I know the hits. I've been singing along in my car to those songs for 2 decades. So, I felt set up for success, thankfully, in that respect, but I didn't want to blow this. And then there were a couple new ones throughout that week. Jerry was like, hey, can you learn this one? A few new ones off this album that was going to be coming out. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. Crammed those into my brain and even on the ride down, there was like a Sprinter van that took us down to Buc-ee's. Keith wasn't on it. He was coming down separately. But he was texting Jerry and said, hey, can she learn this one? And I think it was Wild Side. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. So I literally had my AirPods in the Sprinter van, learning another new song in the van on the way to Buc-ee's.
But you're just listening. You're not actually like singing it, right?
Yeah, I was kind of like humming along just really quietly. But yeah, no, just listening. Yeah. So I did have the foresight. Thankfully, one of my friends said during my trip, you need to get one of those things that goes on a mic stand where you can put your phone in it with some lyrics. Yeah. I didn't have one of those because I just haven't needed the lyrics right in front of me. And I was like, I don't even know if I can have that or if that's a good thing to have up there, but I should get it and bring it with me just in case. And thankfully, I was like kind of in the back behind Jerry. So I did clip that on there, and it was very useful for the songs that I had never heard before. But yeah, all of these years of demo singing where I've never heard the song before and I learn it on the fly right there and go sing, that has really trained my brain to hear a song once or twice and it's in there.
That's incredible.
And what's weird is it's in there forever. Maybe not the lyrics, but the tune of that song is in my brain forever. If I can cue up a song that I did a demo for and sang one time 10 years ago, and it immediately comes back. It's so weird, but it's trained me well.
So you get there, you get on stage with Keith. How long did you get to like build some rapport with Keith before going on stage?
Yeah, so when we first got there, they already had a bus parked down there for the crew, tons of folks down there, and there were people waiting. I mean, this is at a gas station, folks. I mean, Buc-ee's is more than just a gas station, but off to the side, like if you were looking at the front of the building and all the gas pumps are there, to the right was just like a larger parking lot area that they had built a really small stage, just can lights, and there was a back line there, and that was it. And people were there were hundreds of people there, that if not more. They said the final number was like 6,500 people showed up, and they hadn't even announced that it was Keith until we were in the car on the way down there when I saw he made a post on his Instagram about it, and 6,500 people came out of the woodwork to a Buc-ee's in Athens, Alabama. But they already had a bus down there for us, so the crew was kind of hanging out, and I would say maybe an hour before showtime, maybe a little more than that, Keith's bus pulled up. So once I think he was getting settled and had some stuff to do, about an hour before showtime or so, Jerry said, hey, we're going to go over to Keith's bus and you guys can run the duets. Because included in this non-set list that I was learning was the Carrie Underwood duet, the Fighter, the Pink duet, One Too Many, and then the Lainey Wilson duet that had just come out, Go Home With You. So I was doing all three of those duets with Keith, in addition to the background vocals for any of the other songs from all time.
Yeah.
So we hopped up on the bus and ran through just a chorus of each of those songs.
Just the chorus?
Just a cappella, yeah. Or I think I like pulled it up on my cell phone and we just sang like on Spotify, and he and I just sang over top of that just to run it, just a chorus, and that was it. So I was on there for like less than 10 minutes. Whoa. That was the first time I ever met Keith, and he just gave me a hug and said, thanks so much for being here. We ran it. He's like, wow, that's great. Yep, sounds great. Okay, we'll see you out there. And then I think he had to go inside and he like chopped some brisket and hugged Bucky the Beaver.
Yeah.
And then that was it. We were up on stage, and oh man, that Pink song is so wordy. One Too Many. And I remember walking up there for that one because he would call me up to the front for each of the duets, and I just kind of looked up and said a little silent prayer like, please let these words
come out of my mouth.
Come to my brain and out of my mouth. Because really, I was not 100% sure, because when I was up there in the front for the duet, the phone with the lyrics on it was back at my mic stand, not with me. Yeah. So I really just said a silent prayer, and it went all right. Wow. I got it. So thank you.
So,
but yeah, I was a little concerned.
What do you feel like, what is the biggest takeaway from that experience?
Hard work. Just, that was my takeaway, is that, and kind of my motto to myself, even when I am just run ragged, I'm always burning it at both ends. Working at the hospital, it's difficult to have two jobs. I realize that is an unconventional way to do it, but it's allowed me to not have to do the couch surfing thing. I was able to buy a house. I've been able to afford having the life that I want as long as I've been willing to work super hard. And I've always told myself I will never say no to anything. I don't care how tired I am. If I'm tired, that's my own fault because I chose to do it this way. And I haven't. I'd say I never want to say no to something because who's to say that couldn't lead to a new relationship and I don't know that I can trace every single step back to the beginning as to what thing it was that got the ball rolling. But if I just had to give an answer, it would just be hard work because meeting this person and doing that thing might have been years down the road, but that person gave my name to someone else who then 2 years later gave my name to someone else. And somewhere along the line, I got to work with Jerry Flowers, and he thought I had a great voice and wanted to keep in contact with me. And 8 years later, he asked me to come sing with Keith Urban's band, who he'd been playing with at the time for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
So there's been a big shakeup in the band over the past few months. And I've been called back for some more shows. And
you went to Vegas and performed with Keith there.
Yeah, I did the Vegas residency. We did several festival dates. The main tour for his new album, High. It's the High and Alive World Tour. That's starting at the end of this month. I'm not on all those dates, but I'm going to be on a few. And I called Jerry after I got asked to do the Vegas shows, and I was like, look, I don't know what's going on, but I just want to tell you thank you so much because I got asked to do a couple more shows, and I don't know if you're going to be there, but I'm going to miss you, and just thank you so much because this is arguably my all-time favorite artist, and I'm going to get to perform with him like in the band at a real show, not just like an off-the-cuff Buc-ee's thing. Like we're going to do weeks of rehearsals, and this is happening for real, and I owe that all to him. So I realize I owe some of that to myself and the hard work, but if it weren't Jerry believing that I could do it and saying to Keith, like, keep her in mind, don't forget about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this wouldn't be happening.
It seems like the recipe is, well, number one, going back to Whiskey Jam and prioritizing being there every Monday to network and build relationships, right?
Yeah.
And then those relationships just blossom into other ones.
They blossom, and kind of like you mentioned, in Nashville, people do want to help. And I did feel that when I got here, that it wasn't easy, but it was easy. I should say what I mean by that is it wasn't easy because like you do have to work hard, but it came easily because there were opportunities. There were always opportunities. So I never felt like, God, I just can't get any traction here. I immediately got traction here. People wanted to listen, liked what they heard, and wanted to invite me to do other things. Or if I wasn't getting invited, I was never too proud, or I should say I was never too shy to say, hey, like, give me a call. Like, I see you're doing this thing and I would love to do that next time if you're looking for someone else. I'm still not, I mean, look, sending that email or message to Jerry, like, hey, if you're ever looking for a girl in the band, I mean, they don't know unless you tell them.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. You got to let people know you're willing to do the work.
Yes, you are willing to do the work, and then, you know, just be present, be visible, even if that's just to hang out, or if you see someone you recognize, go up and say, hey, hang out, see what they're up to. Also, I think a lot of it is just in how you ask and how you present yourself. I just try to be the nicest, most friendly person, which that is how I am in general, but I'm not stuffy, or I'm here for the hang. Like, I want to have a good time. I want to be a nice person, and for people to see me as the personable, easygoing gal that I am. And I'm approachable. So I guess these are things that I've always wanted to come across as, because that's how I am. And I realize that some people are not that way. So I never want to be like, oh, she's a diva. I'm not. I'm really not. So I just make sure that I am a pleasant person to be around, because in the long run, if someone is going to think about someone for the gig or for whatever, like, oh, Katie, like she's great. She's easy to work with. She's talented. I think a lot of these things go into the recipe is to, now that's not to say like let people walk all over you, but you know, if someone's thinking about reasons that they want to work with one person or another, there's probably a list of things that they might be looking for. And I want to check as many of those boxes as possible.
I think, you know, like there could be a better singer compared to you for a particular gig, right? But who do they like more? Who do they want to hang out with on the tour bus more? Who do they want to be in the studio with more?
Yeah, whose presence is nice to be around.
Who's giving me energy and who's taking away my energy?
That right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we talk about energy a lot more in today's day and age maybe than we used to 10 or 15 years ago. But having that understanding of that it is a give and take of energy. Getting in the car and driving here, or getting in the car and going to the grocery store and your experience there, there is an exchange of energy happening in every single interaction, whether it's with someone that you know or that you don't know. And the same goes for someone else interacting with you or me. So I always want that to be a positive exchange, because I feel like if I'm giving someone a positive exchange, that also is giving me positive energy to be in a good mood and happy. And who doesn't want to feel like that?
I would also like to think that, you know, people who have great work ethic recognize other people with great work ethic, because you can tell me, but I would imagine that Keith Urban has an incredible work ethic. Even at where he is today, so high up the mountain, like he has to have a great work ethic. And to know that you came down to Buc-ee's on a whim and performed 3 duets with him without lyrics in front of you, he must have known, like, okay, she's got that.
I didn't really think about it that way, but you're right, because I certainly appreciate that in other people. You know, like to necessarily use the word lazy, but I mean, you can tell who wants it and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And you're right, whether they are the most talented person or maybe there's someone a little better for the job, but is super terrible to work with or be around. You know, I might go with this person who might not be is still great, but is not as good, but they're a joy to be around. They're easy to work with. They're going to show up on time and be prepared. Now, whether or not I prepared in the last 11th hour, but I am prepared.
Yeah.
Whether or not I procrastinated my preparedness, though, for this Keith stuff, I really have not. I've got to pat myself on the back. I have been a good practicer.
Yeah.
I've been in there rehearsing. I wanted to show up fully prepared, not having to like pull a rabbit out of the hat for anything. Mm-hmm. So I've been on top of it. So I feel proud of myself about that.
Okay, but, one final question. Let's distill everything down into the quickest track you could give to somebody who just comes to town, whether it's Nashville, LA, Austin, wherever they're going, their goal is music, right? What would your advice be to them of like, hey, do these 3 things when you get to town?
I would say if you're coming to town and it's just you and your guitar, moving to Nashville and going to do music, first things first, I would attend a whiskey jam or go to the listening room, meet some folks, shake some hands. I mean, I would want to walk up and say, hey, who's the person who books here? Can I get their email address? Go to Whiskey Jam, talk to Ward, the nicest guy on the planet, Ward Gunther. Follow him on Instagram, follow Whiskey Jam, slide into the DMs. Just be visible and be present. If you don't have a demo, you probably want to cut a little demo of a couple songs so you can have something to send in an email. This is what I sound like, or have a video. You don't necessarily even need to pay money. Do a little video recording of yourself. That's so easy to do nowadays. People don't really do that necessarily. Back when I was first coming here, the iPhone wasn't as, I mean, the iPhone's amazing now, but get a little recording that you can send to someone so you have something to email along. So I guess that could be called a press packet. That's your thing. But if you're just doing a homemade version of that, that's fine. Don't be afraid to send an email, send a video of yourself. Heck, I just sent an email this morning. Tennessee Titans, I would love to sing a national anthem for you. Just send the email, you know? Yeah. Send the email. I would love to sing a national anthem for you. I sent that this morning. Are you booking for the 2025-6 season? Here I am. You'll hear me on Sunday Night Football. Here are my credits. Don't be afraid to send that email, to go shake that hand, introduce yourself. Don't be shy. And then the third thing would be get out there and start playing. I mean, some people ask me, I can't give advice to someone for playing on Broadway because I myself have never done that. I just wanted to focus my efforts elsewhere. But people do that. You can make money. Look, Nashville is more popular and tourist heavy now than ever. People want to give you their tip money. They want to pay you to be down there. And that's paid practice. You're down there, yes, doing cover songs, but if you can get honed in with a band, and now with social media, if people love you when they see you on Broadway, they want to give you a follow on there. And so much of then being seen as credible is having a social media following. So to be able to build that up and be seen as credible in the eyes of, if years down the road you're wanting to pitch to a record label, they're looking at those numbers. As someone who's pitched to labels over and over the years, I've never had those numbers because I haven't focused my efforts on social media really. But that's a question that they ask. How many followers do you have? I'm like, don't you like my voice? But they do ask that question. So, things to hone in. Yeah. Go experience it, shake some hands, send the emails, have something to send around to those people and get out there and play.
Awesome. I love it. And it's all real.
It is all real.
Thank you for coming and doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being a friend for the past 15 years. Yeah, so many memories.
You can't make old friends. Can't make new old friends. Is that what they say?
I don't know.
I think it's something like that. I'm botching.
I'm lost.
Saying, but
I'm confused.
You can't make new old friends, meaning that they can only be a friend and then they become old. You can't find or make a new friend that is an old friend.
I believe you. I'm not tracking, but I believe you. Thanks for being a friend.
Thank you, Mike.
Proud of you and
so
everything
much.
you've done. And thanks for doing the podcast.
You're welcome.